Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here then just welcome, and I hope that you will stick around. In today's video I will be teaching you how to make this super cute pillowcase, and I hope that you will enjoy it. As always, I have made sure that this video is as beginner friendly as possible, so I'm going into as much detail as I can to make sure that everyone is able to follow along. However, if you feel like I'm going too slow or too fast, then just feel free to adjust the speed of the video and I'm sure that it will help. But anyways, by the end of this video, you will have this super cute pillowcase which you can use as a decoration for your own home or simply give it away as a cute present. And within this tutorial, I will be teaching you how to make this Starburst granny square. However, if you wish, you're more than welcome to customize this case and use whatever type of granny square you wish. For example, here I'm working on a completely different pillow, and in this case I'm using this heart granny square. Tutorial for this is also available on my channel. You can check it out. I will link it down below and also above, so feel free to do that. But otherwise it's up to you what you want to use. But now, without further ado, let's jump into it. Here are the materials that I will be using. Here I have some acrylic yarn from Hobby, and in case if you're wondering, here is the exact brand that I'm using, and here are some more specs just in case if you're interested to use the same. However, if you wish, you're more than welcome to use completely different yarn as long as it suits what you want to create. And besides that, I will of course need a crochet hook. For this project I'm using 9mm hook, and you will also need scissors, and lastly, of course, you will also need an actual pillow. So in this case I'm using this cushion, which is 40 by 40 centimeters. So also the size of this, it's totally up to you. But now let's jump into the project. So first I will be starting with this yellow color, and our first step is to do a magic ring. So for that I'm grabbing my yarn and tying it around my fingers like this to kind of create an X shape here. Then I'm taking my crochet hook and going underneath the first piece of yarn that I have here, and then grabbing the second piece and pulling it under to kind of create a loop on my hook. And then our next step is to chain 3. So I'm just doing that, grabbing yarn and pulling it through the loop that's on my hook. So that's one, then also doing the second chain, and then also the third one like this. And then we can remove this yarn from our fingers, and as you can see, we have created magic ring as well as chain of 3. And in this case, this chain of 3 counts as one double crochet, and that's also the very first stitch for our first round. So now we can proceed further with first round, and we now have to do 15 double crochets inside this magic ring. So we already have this chain of 3, which counts as one double crochet. So technically this is our 16th stitch. But now let's proceed with double crochets. So for that you have to yarn over, then go through the magic ring, grab yarn and pull it through to have 3 loops on your hook. Then yarn over and pull through the first 2 like this, then yarn over again and pull through the remaining 2 like that. So that is one double crochet. So let's just do it one more time together. So yarning over, going through the magic ring, grabbing yarn and pulling it up to have 3 loops on your hook, then yarning over and pulling through 2 like that, yarning over again and pulling through remaining 2 like this. So now all you have to do is just keep on doing double crochets inside here until you have 16 stitches in total, including this chain of 3 from the very beginning. And whenever you are doing these stitches, remember to do them across both of these pieces of yarn. So in case if you're running low on this second loose piece, then just pull it a little bit and you will get more of it. But important thing is to cover both pieces. So now just continue adding double crochets until you have 16 stitches in total, also including the chain of 3 from the very beginning. And then I will meet you back again. Here I have done all 16 stitches, and now our next step is to close this magic ring. So for that we just have to pull this loose end that we have here, and as we are pulling it, you can see that it's tightening the magic circle in the very middle. It might be a little bit tricky with chunky yarn just because it's quite packed, but just try to tighten it as much as possible to make sure that you are establishing nice and smooth round shape like this. So this is as much as I could do, and now we can actually connect this magic ring together in one round. So for that we would have to do a slip stitch, and we will be doing that here inside the third chain from the very beginning. So with my hook I'm just going through this third chain, then grabbing yarn and pulling it through, and then also pulling it through the loop that I already had on my hook like this. So now this first round is connected and we can actually fasten off because we will be switching colors. So to do that, you just have to chain one like that, then pull this loop a little bit longer, then grab our scissors and cut off yarn like that. And as it's cut off, we can just tighten it in a secure knot like this by pulling this loose end. But now our first round is finalized. Now we can proceed further with the second round, and for that I will be using this pink yarn, and our first step basically is to attach this yarn to the previous round. So I will be doing that in a random stitch, and I tend to do it a little bit further away from where we actually fastened off. So I will be just going through this stitch here with my crochet hook, and then just grabbing this yarn and pulling through this stitch like that. And then we are just attaching it by making a secure knot to make sure that it actually stays here like this. So this is how you attach yarn, and then we can proceed further with actually doing stitches for the second round. So throughout the second round we will be doing puff stitches on top of every single stitch that we have from the previous round. So in total we would have to have 16 puff stitches. But first, to get started, we just have to pull up a loop like this, and then we are just chaining 2, so 1 and 2, and this chain of 2 is going to count as part of the puff stitch. Then after that, our next step is to yarn over and go through this stitch that we have, then grab yarn and pull it through like this. So this is what we are doing once, and as we are pulling this yarn through, we are also kind of extending this loop that we have. So for the first stitch that we are completing, we are doing it once, and then also for the second time. So again, just yarning over, going through the same stitch, grabbing yarn and pulling it through and kind of extending it like this. So this is how it should look for the first stitch. We have done these yarn overs and pull throughs for 2 times, and then we can yarn over and go through all the loops that we have on our hook like this. So this is only applicable for the first puff stitch that we have, and after that we are just chaining 1, and then we can proceed further with the next one. So starting from the second stitch, we would also be doing puff stitch but with 3 yarn over, so repeating it 3 times. So starting with yarning over, then going through the stitch, grabbing yarn and extending it like this, then again repeating it for the second time, so yarning over, going through the same stitch, grabbing yarn and pulling it through and extending it like that, and then also for the third time, so again yarning over, same stitch, grabbing yarn and pulling it through like that. So at this step you should be having 7 loops on your hook, and then we are just yarning over and going through all the loops that we have on our hook, so like this. So this is 1 puff stitch, and after that always we are just chaining 1. So this is how it's supposed to look, and these are the steps that you're supposed to do from moving forward. You are always doing it 3 times. So let's just complete 1 more together. So I'm just again repeating these steps 3 times in total. This is already the second time, and then also for the last 3rd time like this. So now I have 7 loops, and then I'm just yarning over and pulling my yarn through all the loops that I have on my hook like this. And once that's done, we are just chaining one and proceeding with the next one. So these are the steps that you are supposed to do for the second round. So just go all the way around until you have created 16 puff stitches in total, one on each stitch. And then I will meet you back again once we are able to connect this round. And here I have completed all 16 puff stitches, so now we can also connect this round. So again, for that I'm just using slip stitch and going through this first puff stitch that we have here like this, and grabbing yarn, pulling it through and pulling it through the loop that we had like that. And then we are also done with this color for now, so I'm just chaining one, making this loop a little bit longer, grabbing scissors and cutting it off, and then just tightening it in a secure knot like this. So now second round is also finalized. And now we can proceed further with the third round, and for that I will be using this purple color. So again, our first step is to attach yarn, and just as we did it before, I will be doing that in a random space, so away from this fastening off point. And in this case we will actually be going in between these puff stitches. So just pick a random puff stitch and then loop the yarn through and attach it by making a secure knot like this. And then we can proceed further with working on the stitches for the third round. So first, again, we just have to pull up a loop like this, and then in this case we just have to chain 3. So 1, 2 and 3. And in this case, this chain of 3 is also going to count as part of the stitch that we will be working in between these gaps. And throughout this third round, we will actually be kind of doing like clusters of unfinished double crochets. So bear with me, I will explain you how you can do that. So basically what we will do is that we will create multiple double crochets that will be kind of like halfway finished, and then all of them will be connected into one stitch, so one cluster basically. So in this first stitch, again, it's going to be a little bit different. So instead of doing 3 unfinished double crochets, we will actually be doing 2 because we have already this chain of 3, but in the following ones we will have 3 of them in total. But now let's begin. So for that we are just yarning over, going through the stitch, grabbing yarn to have 3 loops, and then yarning over and pulling through 2 like this. So this is halfway finished double crochet, and then we are just starting all over with adding another one. So yarning over, going through, grabbing yarn, and now we have 4 stitches, and now we are just yarning over and pulling through the first 2 like this. And now we technically have these 2 unfinished double crochets, and this is what we need for the very first stitch. So now we can actually create a cluster from these 3 that we have here, and for that we are just yarning over and going through all the loops that we have on our hook like this. So this counts as the first cluster, and once that's done we are just chaining 2, so 1 and 2, and then we can proceed further with actually working on the next one. So starting from this second stitch, we are actually doing these 3 unfinished double crochets. So the same process, it's just that we are doing these unfinished double crochets 3 times. So this is already 1, then starting all over to work on a new one and only finishing it halfway through. So this is 2, and then also adding the third one in the same way just as we did with the first 2 like this. So these are 3 unfinished double crochets, and you should have 4 loops on your hook, and then you're just yarning over and pulling through all the loops that you have like this. And now it's done, and we are just chaining 2 and proceeding with the next one. And again, just repeating the same process that we did before by just adding 3 unfinished double crochets into the very same space that we have here. So just making sure that all of these 3 stitches are going in there, and we are just keeping all the loops on our hook. We should have 4 in total, and then we are just yarning over and going through all the loops like this. And after that we are just chaining 2, and then we can proceed with the next one. So this is how it looks so far, and now you're just supposed to add another one into every stitch, like in between this puff stitches from the previous round. So go all the way around, and then I will meet you back here once you have completed the last stitch, and then we will connect this round together. So I will see you there. So here I'm also done with this third round, and I have completed my last cluster as well as I have chained 2, and now we can also connect this round together. So again, we will be doing slip stitch, and we will do that here on top of this first cluster that we did here, like that. And the same process, just completing the slip stitch like this. And then once that's done, we are again fastening off because we will switch colors. So for that, chaining 1, making the loop longer, then grabbing our scissors and just cutting off yarn like this, and then tightening it in a secure knot like that. So now also this third round is finalized, and now we can proceed with the fourth round, and for that I will be using this color. And also within this fourth round we will actually establish a square shape, so we will turn this into an actual granny square for our pillow. So first, again, we just have to attach yarn, and again I'm just doing that in a random space in between these clusters, so a little bit away from this loose end that we have here. So again, just looping it through like this, and then attaching it in a secure knot to make sure that it actually stays there like that. Then after that, again, I'm just pulling up a loop like that, and our first step would be to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3 and 4, and this chain of 4 is going to count as 1 treble crochet, and also within this first space here we will create the very first corner. So let's just keep that in mind. And now the next step for us is to do 2 treble crochets that will be inside here, the same space, and for that we just have to yarn over twice, so 1 and 2 like this, and then we are just going through the same space, grabbing yarn and pulling it up to have 4 loops on our hook, then yarning over and going through 2 like this. So now we have 3 loops, then yarning over again and going through the next 2 like that. So now we have 2 loops, and yarning over for the last time and going through remaining 2 like this. So that is 1 treble crochet, and let's just do it one more time together. So yarning over twice, going through the space, grabbing yarn, pulling up to have 4 loops, yarning over and pulling through pairs of 2 for 3 times in total until we have no stitches left like this. So these count as 3 treble crochets, and it's technically half of the corner. And then to make our corner turn, we just have to chain 3. So 1, 2 and 3, and then we can proceed with doing the remaining part of this corner, and we will again do that in this same space, and we just have to do 3 treble crochets. So again, the same process, and we are just doing all of these 3 stitches inside this very same space. So here I have already 1, and now it's left for us to do 2 more. So following the same process, we are just doing them inside the same space. So basically the corner is created by doing stitches all together in the very same space in between the clusters from the previous round. So already working on the third one, and now it's finalized. So you can see that we have created our first corner, and then we can proceed further with the next gap that we have here. And in there we are just doing 3 double crochets, so you are already familiar with this stitch. And again, we are doing all 3 of them inside the very same space. So throughout this round we will always do all 3 stitches or all stitches for the corner inside the same space. So here this stitch is completed, and we are progressing further with the next gap, and in there we are doing 3 half double crochets. So a little bit different, but we are again yarning over, going through this gap, grabbing yarn to have 3 loops on our hook, then yarning over and going through all 3 loops like this. So this is 1 half double crochet, and then we just have to add 2 more inside the same space to create 3 of them in total like this. So now we have created half of this side for the square, and now we just have to do it on the other side as well. So this is the middle, so now we are just repeating with doing 3 double crochets. So again, all 3 of them are going inside this very same space. So right away we are proceeding further with doing all 3 of these double crochets. So last one left to do, like this, and now it's done. So now we are going further with doing this corner, and you're already familiar with that. So first we are doing 3 treble crochets, that would be done here, then chaining 3 and again doing 3 treble crochets inside this very same space, and then this corner is done, and we are just progressing further with doing stitches for the side. So again that would be 3 double crochets, then we have middle with 3 half double crochets, again 3 double crochets, and then corner again. So these are the steps that you have to do throughout this round to establish this square shape. So just proceed further with doing that, and I will meet you in the middle of this process to show you how far I am. And now the 4th round is completed, and this is how it looks. And as you can see, we have established this square shape that we were going for. And now we can connect this round together. So again, we are just doing a slip stitch, and in this case, I'm going through this 4th chain from the very beginning where we started, like this, and doing a slip stitch through here like that. So now this round is connected, and we can again fasten off. So first, to do that, again I'm just chaining 1, making this loop longer, grabbing scissors, cutting off, and then we can tighten in a secure knot by pulling this loose end. But now this 4th round is finalized, and this is how it looks. So now we can proceed further with the 5th round, and for that I will switch back to this pink color, and starting from the 5th round we will be just basically creating this square shape bigger. So all we have to do is just add volume until we create enough big granny square that actually fits our pillow. So 5th round will be the one that we will just keep on repeating to make our square bigger, and I will just show you how to do that, and it's going to be quite simple. So again, we are just starting at a random stitch or space, because we just have to attach yarn in a random spot. So let's say I will be just doing it in here, and then I'm just grabbing my yarn and attaching it here by making a knot like that, and then we can proceed further. So basically, starting from 5th round, we will be just doing double crochets, and inside every gap we will be creating 3 double crochets, and in the corners we will actually be doing 3 double crochets, chain of 3, and 3 double crochets again. So a little bit similar as it was for the 4th round, but quite simpler. So first we are just pulling up a loop and then chaining 3, 1, 2, and 3 like that. And again, this chain of 3 is going to count as 1 double crochet. So technically we already have 1 stitch here, and then it's just left for us to do 2 more double crochets inside this very same space. So this is 1, and then we are just adding another one inside the same space here together with the stitches that we already did in here. So I'm just completing the 3rd one like that. So this is 1 gap completed, and then we can proceed further with the next one, where we again have to just do 3 double crochets. So I'm just starting to work on these, so the process is very simple. Here I already have 2, and now I'm just working in also the 3rd one, which is the last one for this specific space here. And then our next stitches are actually these for this corner in here. So as I mentioned, we are just adding 3 double crochets, chain of 3, and 3 double crochets again. So let's do 1 corner together. So first I'm just adding 3 double crochet stitches inside this corner space. So this is 2, and then adding the third one like this, and this is half of the corner. And then to make the corner turn, we are just chaining 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then again just doing 3 more double crochets inside this very same space, which will help us to finalize this corner. So I already have 1, and now I'm just adding 2 more to have 3 in total like this. So here we have finalized this corner. And now we can proceed further with all the spaces that we have here. So in each space until we reach the next corner, we are just doing 3 double crochets, and then in the corner we are again repeating what we did here, which is 3 double crochets, chain of 3 and 3 double crochets. So basically all you have to do is just go all the way around until you have made this 5th round, and then we are just connecting it by doing a slip stitch here in the 3rd chain from the very beginning. So that is all that you have to do for the 5th round, and I will meet you back here once we are able to finalize it. And so here I am done with the 5th round, and this is how it looks. So as you can see, we just made this granny square a little bit bigger by adding extra round with basically just double crochets. And now we can connect this round. So as I mentioned, we are just doing a slip stitch here inside the 3rd chain from the very beginning where we started. So performing a slip stitch in there like that, and then we are switching colors, or if you wish, you're more than welcome to continue with the same color, but for my pillow I will be just flipping colors after every round. So again, I'm just cutting off yarn and tightening in a secure knot like this. So this is the 5th round, and this is how it looks. So now all we have to do is basically just keep on repeating this 5th round until we make our granny square as big as it's necessary to, so it actually fits around our pillow, and we can kind of measure it that it goes exactly around one side of this pillow. So for now, just keep on repeating this 5th round with whatever color mix you wish, and just make your granny square as big so it fits around your pillow, or basically one side of your pillow. So here, as you can see, we have added 3 extra rounds for this granny square, so the same process that we did for round 5, and now we have made this granny square a lot bigger so it actually fits around our pillow. So if I measure it against the cushion that I have, which is 40 by 40 centimeters, you can see that it covers exactly one side, and this granny square fits around it perfectly. So now we are done with one granny square, and all we have to do now is just create another one which is exactly the same, or if you wish, you can create it completely different with different color mix, but basically you just need 2 of these granny squares that are in exact same size. So just proceed with doing that. So here I have created both granny squares, and they are in the exact same size. So now we can actually proceed further with connecting them together. And for connecting them together, I will be using flat braid slip stitch, meaning that both of the granny squares, when connecting them, they will be facing with the right side upwards, and we will be adding this slip stitch here in the back loops of both sides of these granny squares. So that is what we are going to do, and first we will be connecting this one side, then we will fold our granny squares together so they are kind of like facing inner side of each other, and then we will connect 2 more sides together. But now let's proceed with doing these slip stitches, and I will teach you how you can do that. So here I'm just kind of flipping my work so it's facing with this side, and we can kind of already a little bit fold it like this. And first we will be starting from this corner part here, and for connecting these granny squares I will be using this pink yarn. And of course our first step is to attach this yarn, and I will be doing that here in the very corner of both of these squares. So here I'm just going through the middle chain of this corner, and then also the middle chain of the other corner that we have here. So here I have, and then I'm just grabbing yarn and pulling it through both of these chains in the corner, and then just making a secure knot to make sure that it stays there. And then we can proceed further with doing our flat braid slip stitches. And to begin, I'm first just pulling up a loop like this, and then we are just chaining one so we can get started easier. And now we are just supposed to do slip stitches here, and to connect these stitches together, it's very important to make sure that we are connecting exactly the same stitch from both sides, and with this method we will only be going through the back loops. So first we just have to go through this next chain. So I'm going through this chain on one side, and then also the same chain on the other side. And when I'm doing that, I'm making sure that this yarn that I have here, that it's kind of like staying at the bottom. And then once I'm through, I'm just grabbing yarn and pulling it through both of these loops like this, and then also the loop that I already had on my hook like that. So that is one slip stitch. Then after that, we are progressing further with actually doing these slip stitches inside the stitches that we have from the last round. So the process again is the same. We are just going through the back loop of this stitch on one square, and then also the back loop of the same stitch on the other square like that. Then just grabbing yarn and pulling it through both back loops, and then also the loop that we had on our hook like that. So here we already have 2 of these slip stitches, and this is how it looks. As you can see, it gives a super smooth and cute look. And also it's quite important, or something to note, that it's useful to make these slip stitches a little bit more loose, just because to make sure that they are not kind of like too tight, and you have a bit more flexibility and your work isn't looking too crooked or anything like that. But otherwise, for now, you just have to proceed with doing these slip stitches, and just make sure that you are doing that in the exact same stitch from both squares. So for now, just proceed with this and connect this side together. So just continue from here until you reach the other end here, and that's where I will meet you back again. Here I have connected this side together, and this is how it looks. So now we can proceed with the next one, and for that we just have to fold our work, and then we are just repeating the same stitches also for this side as well as for the following one. And then basically we are just keeping this last side open just for now. Here I have connected all of these 3 sides together, so now we can actually proceed further with inserting our cushion inside this pillowcase. So once you have put it in, then we can actually proceed further with the last step to also connect together this 4th side that we have here. And then once you get to the very last stitch, make sure to also do a slip stitch in there, and then once that's done, do another regular slip stitch in the very first chain where you started. So just perform a regular slip stitch by going through the stitch, grabbing yarn and pulling it through the loop that you had. And after that we have connected all of the sides together so we can fasten off, and for that again I'm just chaining 1, making my loop a little bit longer, grabbing scissors, cutting it off and tightening in a secure knot like this to make sure that nothing is going to unravel. And then after that we just kind of have to hide this loose end that we have. So I'm just doing my best to weave it inside and then hiding underneath the stitches that we have in there inside. And now our pillowcase is completed and our cushion is already inside it, and this is how it looks. So that was it from me today. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you're going to have fun with this tutorial by creating some colorful and cute pillowcases. And if you did enjoy this video, then just please give me a big thumbs up, and if you're new here, then please subscribe, and I will see you later. Bye!